Hello, this is John Friedel from Welcome to the Your Author Platform podcast with Dr. John Friedel. Are you investing significant time and energy in writing your books but still struggling to reach a larger audience? I understand how you feel, and I'm here to help you change that. If you're looking to boost your momentum, connect with your audience like never before, and increase profitability in ways your fans appreciate, today's episode will guide you confidently forward. Hello, authors. It's wonderful to spend time with you on another episode of the Your Author Platform podcast. I host this podcast to help you connect with your audience, boost your book, create other valuable revenue streams to support your growing community, and ultimately enhance your efforts to improve your fans' lives. I hope to positively impact your life today so you can better connect with your fans. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I went over how to entrepreneur the heck out of your nonfiction book. I hope you enjoyed listening to my previous episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Today's episode, number 15, interviews Margaret Zyk coaching about her entrepreneurial business, followed by a new segment on artificial intelligence. This time, let's make we understand, what is AI really? Here's my interview with Margaret from Margaret Zyk Coaching. Stick around until afterwards for my AI segment. And let me share my screen. Hey! They move stuff around. I got an upgrade to Zoom when I launched the meeting. I'm like, that's why I launched it 15 minutes early. And I'm sure you found out as well.
I use Riverside, but I know we're not
Riverside?
Totally starting. But yeah, I use Riverside FM for my recordings with when I do biz dev or like podcast kind of thing. And I found it really super easy and way easier than Zoom.
Okay. Can you do multiple people?
Well, it's interesting because I just did a 2-person kind of thing, and I was able to format the screen to like fit them both in. But then when they did clips, it took the middle.
Riverside
FM.
Riverside FM. I'll look into it. So we just jumped in the middle of this, everybody. Welcome. This is Margaret Zyk from Margaret Zyk Coaching, and I'm interviewing her today to talk about where she, the community that she's building, the business that she's building, and I want to try to remember to give you to do most of the talking. Say hello, Magpie. I call her Magpie.
Hello.
Tell us how this all got started. What was, did you have this idea in college, or did you, what was the trigger, and when, and then separate is, when did you decide to pull the trigger on your idea?
Okay. So it goes back to my college years because I do have a background in psychology.
That's right.
Pardon?
I guessed right.
I do have a background in psychology and social work, and I spent actually 10 years in the prison system as far as working in the Illinois prison system. And that was based on my LCSW, my social work background. And then I got kind of in that area of like, I wanted to do something different. So I went into sales. So I spent like 21 years in a major CPG company where I was in sales and leadership and what success looked like as far as selling. I really liked that. And I kind of liked the dopamine hit of selling. But then as I was starting to get to the end of my career after like let's say 17 years, I was asked to like create a new division in the company. And I thought that was fun because if I was going to go out, like prepare my retirement, I wanted to go out, like be an example of what's possible and like start this new team. So I started a new team, an e-commerce team, as everybody was kind of jumping on the bandwagon of selling things online. And I started to look into like how I could help my team with personal development also. And so that was what really got me excited, is because we sold things, yes, but it was also about who they were becoming, because that was what really lit me up. And so I started to research more about life coaching. I had my LCSW background, but life coaching, hypnotherapy, how people changed, and then what sustained that change for them to develop into the person that they wanted to be. And then as I started to then further exit, I started to research retirement. And one of the things that really, as I got my life coach certification and my hypnotherapy certification, I really started to wonder, like, there was all of this financial, like, are you prepared financially to retire? But there was really very little resources on emotional side of retirement, like the identity. Somebody that you've said that you are for 20, 30 years is all going to be gone. And then you're going to have to figure out, who am I now?
Yeah, your identity was your work.
Exactly.
And now it's like you're transitioning to, and I can see where the finance would be what people would sell.
Absolutely. And everybody ate it up. And they go, am I ready? And do I have enough money? And I'm like, I'm going to say, dude, but like, there's so much more to it, as far as the things that are really impacted is your identity, your sense of purpose, your relationships, and then also your habits. Because even though we say we don't want someone else to create our habits for us, we take comfort, and the brain takes comfort into going, oh, I got to go to sleep so I can wake up to go to work and then spend 8 or 9 hours at work and see those people, and that's comfort. And so when that's all stripped away, at first you kind of got the gates open, I can do whatever I want, but then about 2 or 3 months in, people kind of start to feel a little bit lost. They start to feel like, what do I do now? What's it all about?
I run into people, I see people, and they say, I've been retired for 3 years now, and it's not going well. Or it's been, they've retired for coming up on 5 years, and they don't have their, I started a small business, but I really don't see what's going on. I don't feel happy, and I'm like, well, maybe listen to your wife. And because the things that they'll say, because I meet both of them, and they're like, no, and I'm like, dude, yes. So as I would love to feed some of these people to you.
Okay.
Maybe I can provide an address later, but do you have like business cards I can hand out? Because this is a regular thing for me, is to meet people, and Margaret Zyk coaching.com is sort of like, no, not happening. And so I'll make a note to do that, to send you that request, because I this is so important for to train that in that time of, you know the words better. I'm saying time of life, but
absolutely. As far as in that next chapter, I mean, I've read studies where people tend to die in that first year.
I've met them. People about my whole life, they're retiring and then they're gone. And I don't mean morbid, but I'm just like, good luck. I mean, that's what my response was to, they say they were going to retire, and I'm like, seriously, dude, listen to your wife. Good luck.
Well, and that's, so you bring up the wife as far as communication, and then also that dynamic changes, because one might be retired.
Oh, they send them back to work. I work in corporate America, and they come back. And why are you back? My wife told me to come back. I'm like, well, it is a transition. So tell me, was it, what was the trigger to start? I mean, you have ideas and thoughts, and I appreciate you sharing that, but then trigger.
The trigger to start is who can I become next in this chapter, right? Because that's what I help my employees do, or I thought I did, as far as with going, like, who do you want to become? Because life is worth living and life is worth risking. And a lot of people, like you mentioned the pandemic earlier, like they ran back in the cave and they never got off the couch. And now there's Uber Eats and there's all of the streaming services, and they don't possibly go out of the house to experience life. And so I got started because
a lot of people talk about the kids being traumatized by being at home, but the older people, yeah, they have to go back to an office.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And there's a lot of people that make plans their whole life for retirement, and then get there and go, well, I'm not doing it, and then they feel shameful, or they feel like, oh, I don't want to tell anybody I'm not doing it, or they listen to their brain that's keeping them safe and in comfort and not, taking any risks, right? Because it's a risk to plan, even if it's a camping trip and you say, I want to travel and I want to do this, and now I might be a little older where it might be a little bit harder. And so I've seen people, and I've talked to so many people, and I've got the same reaction you did, or I get it from their kids. Like, my parents are not doing well in retirement.
I wanted to say, my parents worked hard to retire early.
Right.
At which point they divorced.
Well, and sometimes that happens because you also have to work at, and so part of my program that I, basically kind of developed with kind of like some of the self-help gurus, everyone teaches like some sort of transformation, right?
Do you
and
want to
there's
share
always
your
like
screen, and maybe we can look at your website or your YouTube channel?
I don't have it up right now, but I would like, let's not go there as far as, because I don't have everything set.
Okay.
Do you mind as far as?
No. I just wanted to show people your logo and why I call you Magpie. But that's okay. That's okay. It's a very nice website, and now.
Well, and I would like to, and there's I don't have my curriculum up as far as that. But part of it is like, let's just talk about transformation. So there's a discovery phase, right? About like, hey, I'm transitioning out of this role and coming into this role. Well, it could be retirement, it could be divorce, it could be a new job, right? It could be a lot of different things. It could be becoming a parent. There's things that you don't know about this new phase, right? And you don't know that you don't know. So part of it is that helping and asking some really pointed questions about like, what does this look like for you? And then using the hypnotherapy to kind of release some of the beliefs. Like, some people have the beliefs the best part of my life is done. And I, like, oh, those were great years, and now I'm going to go downhill. And
like the Olympic gold medal athletes that are 16 years old, and they're like, so what's the rest of my life like?
Correct. So part of it is discovery, and then it's making decisions. Then it's like, well, what do you want to do about that? Like, as you start to get in touch with the vision that you've had or that you want to create, you go, how am I going to do it? And that's habit building. I'm a big James Clear fan, like 1% better, and starting to make a plan, because your brain's going to tell you danger, danger, don't do it. Right. And then, like you just said about communication, it's building a process, because it's ongoing decision-making as you take that action. As you come up against something, as far as in your business, or if you have a side hustle, or if you're in relationships, and it's, the communication with your kids, all of a sudden your kids start dropping off their kids because you're retired. You can watch my kids, right?
Yep.
Boundaries and things. So it's negotiating all of that, and then also just managing your mind around it, because a lot of times your mind will take you to don't risk, stay safe, and then you start, and I called it quietly quitting, coining the phrase, that they used about 4 or 5 years ago. You start quietly quitting on yourself, and then it's too painful to then maybe pick yourself back up and go, this is stuff I want to do.
Yeah, you need to, but you're kind of in a rut or stuck or something. Yeah.
Right, right. And your brain is primarily the biggest part in that because you're living with your thoughts.
Change is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to use a cliche, but that's what I talk about with my students is change is hard, and we can all move forward from that. Habit forming. I was just watching a video on how to be a good YouTuber, and you build habits, and it was just focus on getting the next step. So for everybody listening on the podcast, on the videos, which I'll be sharing, Margaret's website is in the description. And so you can go there and see where it is. So that was, I don't know that I got an answer that I was looking for. You officially retired, and that was the trigger?
When I officially retired, I wanted to start my business, and I wanted to see who I could be or who I could become. Most people that I had coached prior to retiring were people that I knew. They went, "Oh, Margaret's got a good vibe. She's got some great advice, and she can help you with your whatever you're doing, skill building or transitioning or, to different roles or whatever." And so it was word of mouth.
So you started with a team at a business, then you moved to people who knew you, and then you went, I need a website?
Well, I went, how can I make a bigger impact? Because here's the thing is that there's millions of people that I'm never going to reach. And
do you really want to? Do you really want to?
Well, they're part of it is what I'd like to do is I'd like to educate people to educate themselves. What I would really want is the total elimination of my job as I know it, and have people to get to a point where they're educating themselves and they're doing the work themselves, like self-coaching, right? So they can coach themselves through like, oh, of course my brain goes there, and I could think something different. Like it's about raising their awareness as to what they can do and how they can manage their life from a place of purpose, not from default. So many people they're not responsible for their life. Life happens to them. And so I think there's so much value in especially teaching the younger generation to take that responsibility and create your life as opposed to someone else creating it for you. So when I retired, I went, I want to play in this arena and see how many more people I can influence that are not in my immediate realm. We grew up in neighborhoods, right? In parishes and things like that, right? And sometimes people didn't move. We talked about that. But now it's the influence.
We had a long conversation before we started the interview because we're friends and we were catching up. And so she's been referencing like that. I didn't even record it, and we were just talking.
Right.
So yes,
yes. It's kind of it was that. Yes, I'm quote retired, and I have a business, and that's okay. And I want the balance of that business because I don't want it to take over my life. I don't want a 9 to 5 again, or 9 to 10, or 12, or whatever. But I want to be an example of that. You can have a balanced business and retirement life to live to the fullest.
Okay. So you decided, you pulled the trigger. And was it the website that you started first, or was it the email? Did you like write down your what is it, value proposition? Was it the icon, your logo? I'm just trying to like see how it kind of switched on.
Well, I learned what tech stack meant.
Okay. Tell us what tech stack means.
Tech stack means, like, as you build your online presence, you have a series of different tools or platforms that support that. You getting your message out. A website is one of them. Social media is another one of them, right?
Mhm.
So as I was beginning my journey of like starting to figure it out, like everyone has an opinion. Everyone goes, oh, start here. Oh, no, start here, and you don't need any of this.
I think of it like going into a gym and just to review the gym, and they're saying, stop doing that. And then they take a call and they leave, and you're like, what?
So it is about, first of all, trial and error, because you're putting yourself in the capacity of like, I'm going to figure this out. And I had the thought, no one taught me. And I was like, oh, I got to give that thought up because it doesn't really serve me, right? Because no one could teach you this, right? So I have the capacity. I have the capacity to learn. So I started to like piece things together of like, what do I need? Needing a website as far as just to house my offer and what I do, right?
Sure.
Needing some payment form, like to take payment.
Right.
Needing some way of putting my message out, and what social media platform best fit, let's say, the retirement age people, which is Facebook.
There you go.
Right? But
Yep.
My message is a little different on Instagram because sometimes if I'm putting out the retirement message, it's, as opposed to the transformation message, it's to like, if you know someone that's not doing well.
Word of mouth.
Sense?
Yeah.
Word of mouth. Because I've run into a lot of young people that go, my parents are not doing well, and if they could have some kind of help. And so with that, then I started thinking, as I'm doing one-on-one and kind of creating that, and I do have a curriculum where I take people through different steps because I want to be thorough and in like what some of the experts say to cover. But I also, look at your saboteur, going through the little thing.
On my previous channel, Magpie was there when my cats were renamed Saboteur number 1 and Saboteur number 2, and Emil is Saboteur number 1, and he gets into trouble. So
So the other thing that I'm exploring and doing is more of an app-based, where it's a self-guided, that if you want to do certain steps by yourself and then do like a weekly coaching call, group call, and that kind of lends to the community.
And group call between them and you, or
Yes.
or a community, or
Well,
like a Zoom meeting or live stream.
It would be a group coaching, like a Zoom coaching call. So it would be a group coaching call, but within the app, there is a community section where people share.
Okay.
Right.
So if we go to your website and that there will be a link there for people to find it.
I don't have, like right now, I haven't launched my app yet. So
people may be listening to this a year from now. And this is actually my next question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the future hold? So the future is the development of further development of the app.
Correct. And building some kind of, probably with my one-on-one clients, as I collect more of them, because I do a limited amount. I don't take on, I'm not going to be that 40-hour-a-week coach. I'm not going to be that, right?
Well, you don't have to be. You don't.
Correct.
And, because this is on my side of things, you could hire somebody and, it could be a team of you. But if you want Margaret, it could cost more.
Well, correct. And that's I feel really comfortable about, because in some ways I had to take myself through my own program. And so let's say for the first 4 months, as I was building my business out, I had to actually go through my own program and build my business out to see, to build those, first discover what I wanted to do, and then build the structure and build the processes to then be able to sustain and grow it the way I want to grow it.
You want it to work.
Correct.
I mean, is the payment process working? It is this, that, and the other thing. And if you go through it, I mean, people talk about writing a book, setting it down, letting it cool, and then reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And you see so much. And so I can see, I mean, I go through my content and try to go, imagine that, somebody's going through this, and what's the most common questions they would have. And comments are also very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first interview on my other channel. I checked the comments afterwards, and they were like, "Shut up and let her talk," which I'm feeling right now. So, is there such a thing as too popular? I tell people I'm not scared of anything except success. Could you go viral and be like, "No, you're not. Good morning, America." I'm calling, "No, you're not." No, they keep calling back. These people, and could be Good Morning America. It has happened, and is too much. At what point is it too much? Is it just a matter of kind of growing to accept it, or are you drawing a line?
Well, I think there's a managing your mind around it, and I call it keeping your place in a good, or keeping your mind or brain in a good place, right? And I think that's for everyone, whether you're retired or going through anything. It's like, what do I want to feel, and how do I want to feel in this next phase? I want to feel in control. I want to feel balanced. And there's not all times that you feel balanced. I want to be able to handle my emotions as far as in the high highs and the low lows. Because a lot of times people will go like, "Oh, you're retired, you should be happy all the time," right? And that's whether you're doing, let's say, very little, or maybe you're volunteering, or maybe you're watching your grandkids. There's emotions, there's life that happens. So part of it is managing your mind around your business and how you want to live the life, and then checking in with yourself when you hit the pillow. Go, how did I do?
One of the things they talk about is what is it? I just was thinking of it. Getting out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hearing, don't live outside of your comfort zone. I've misplaced my comfort zone. I don't know where it is. But if you're in your comfort zone too much, then what you're talking about doesn't happen.
Well, part of it is, yeah, correct. I think when you transition and you retire, then your central nervous system, you have to feel safe. You have to feel safe with oh, what's happening now to me, right? There's like a detox almost, because there's been maybe a lot of firing, not firing, but dopamine hits, or schedule changes, or other people telling you what to do. And so you're all of a sudden your chief officer of yourself. And then you go, well, what am I going to do? And you go, well, I'm going to do this. And then you might try it and you go, well, I don't like that. And I'm going to do this, or set up a schedule, or I'm going to walk, I'm going to get healthier. Because a lot of people ignore their health and wellness until a diagnosis shows up.
And they sit down on the couch and don't get up.
Or they don't look at what they eat, and they don't fuel themselves for energy. And so part of it is gentle, starting with water, breath work, and gentle reminders as far as what do you want to add more of to your diet, like fruits and vegetables, because our body changes. And especially as we get older, recovery is more important. Sleep is more important. How your body heals is more important. Just because you have more risk as your bones get a little bit more frail, or different changes in your body, your VO2, your lung capacity Like if you're not pushing yourself, then your lung capacity deteriorates, and that's a really big correlation to longevity.
So what do people work on? Let's say they join your program. I know it's a couple. Do you identify things in their lives, which are like, last time I talked to you, you were 50 pounds lighter, you don't want to have that conversation, but yet, there's easier ways to say that. But do you see something in their life, or do you expect them to notice and say, I really want to work on this? Is it a combination of those two things? Because identifying.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say identifying seems like a big step that helps you move forward. But where do they get that from? Themselves, from you, combination?
That's where the discovery comes in. Let's call it discovery for right now, right? As far as somebody transfers out of a job, we talk about what they liked about that job. So many people say, I loved the people I worked with, but I just didn't like the processes or the rules or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like I worked.
Comment below if you feel the same way.
Right? Because that's the biggest response I get. So there's a relational component that tips me off right now that says, hey, they may lose connection with all of those people that they've spent so much time with. So that's huge. That's tipping me off as a coach. And as a coach, it's an influence relationship. So what people share with me influences me in the direction that I go, but there's also challenge. So if you look at it like influence, or let's say I'm holding space for people to explore and discover, but I'm also going to challenge and go, well, what are we going to do about it now? What's the decision that you want to make about what's important to your life, and how do you want to move forward in building the habits and the processes to keep that front and center?
Okay. I feel like that's an excellent place to stop.
Okay.
Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview. I'll be spreading the video and the audio far and wide. Again, the Margaret's Magpie's website is in the video description, the podcast description. And it's, I think, well written, but I know you want to work on more, and you can, you can contact her about some of her programs, about the phone app, etc. Feel free. You're like on my other channel, you're like one of my oldest fans, and that's like 10 years. Yeah. It's been an interesting journey, you and I. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I also encourage people to is as they get like this growth bug, like how am I going to continue to learn? There's so many people, like let's say our age, that go, AI, oh my gosh, like it's going to take over the world and I'm afraid of it. But it's like the phone. It was the
Remember when phones came out? You're okay with phones, right?
the really long cord that your mom had strung across the kitchen. We don't use those anymore. So it's part of change and part of the cycle and part of a growth mindset that we're always going to be growing. And if we can take that and go, how do I want to grow?
So many people just shut down. So many people just went, no.
Right? So I appreciate you having me on your show. And it's Margaret Zyk, ZYK Coaching. And you can book a free link with me, a free session with me, no obligation. But I do guarantee that you're going to get some value in that hour that we spend together. And whether you decide to work with me or not, it doesn't matter, because I want to further you in your journey, and that may be several different directions.
you're quite welcome. Again, thank you for being on the show, and I will talk to you for years going forward, and look forward to what's coming next for you and your growth, and the challenges that are coming. I can see you being tremendously successful, more than you want to be. So sorry.
I'll handle it as it comes.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Thank you, John.
So that was my interview. What a great interview. Thank you, Margaret. If you have questions, comment below now or later, and I'll let Margaret know. Thanks. My special free offer is, are you an author or an aspiring author who also wants to be an entrepreneur and has started down the author to entrepreneur journey? Well, let's get on with the show. But that is something I want to share with you because I am to this sign up page where you'll get a questionnaire to answer, and my team will review whether you'd be a good fit to have on my platforms. Okay, so on with the show. And so next up is my all new artificial intelligence segment, where I discuss some aspect or perhaps product within the AI space. The obvious place to start these AI related segments is of which there will be many eventually, is what is AI? A lot of people talk about AI, but I haven't heard anyone explain what it is. So let's do that. First, as always, let's talk about sources. I am a physicist and engineer, yes, both, and others. As an aerospace engineer with a doctorate, I had the opportunity through the U.S. Air Force as part of one of their initiatives to write a funding proposal. All of us in flight safety got together to write that proposal. My area was to write the AI section because my company was a leader in that field. Long story short, we wrote the proposal and successfully got millions in funding for a 5-year project. Within the first year, the pandemic occurred, causing some delays in meeting in person to do the work. And then because of that whole Boeing mess, I was laid off along with so many others, 1 in 3 of my coworkers. Being the Ph.D. in the building, I saw it coming 3 years in advance. I was asked to head up this U.S. Air Force project, which included AI, but declined because I could see the layoffs coming, which they did. So the project continued without too much of a hit because I wasn't the leader. Anyway, I learned a lot about AI, a lot more, I should say, in that first year. The part you should hear about, which I can talk about, is data. And artificial intelligence is a neural network, like your brain. It starts small, much more like a child's brain rather than an adult's, and grows by being fed data, lots of data. This is where so much knowledge about AI is misunderstood. The internet is filled with the written word. This is a massive data ocean that an AI neural network can grow from. The internet is also filled with videos, another data ocean that an AI neural network can use to grow. And most of the AI products I've been told about use these two data oceans or both. It's called generative AI. Other types of AI neural networks don't use the written word or video from the internet. What, you say? My aerospace AI project used proprietary inspection data that was not uploaded to the internet. Yes, it was stored on a computer, but that computer wasn't connected to the internet to share its contents to the world. Now, all these concepts are getting a bit deep. I understand that. The point is, only information freely available on the internet can be used by an AI to grow its neural network. It can't use the dark web. What is the dark web? It sounds sinister, but the dark web is anything on the internet not open to all. For example, your bank's sign-in page is not on the dark web, but everything you see after signing in is on the dark web. In my advanced course for my last business, I was asked if what I was sharing was information available on the dark web. I said yes, it was. right here now. Right there was where in the class, because it was because of course it was itself behind a paywall and was therefore on the dark web. As you might imagine, conspiracy theorists didn't like that answer, but it's still true. So there's another example I wanted to give that may help. Teslas have autopilot, and they are recording the motions of the cars around you. You have to actually say yes. And so that would be uploaded to Tesla servers, what all the traffic around you is doing within view of the cameras. I'm going to sneeze, I think. Oh, okay. And that information is going to be used to train the self-driving. Okay. But based on what I just said, the data is coming from those cars that have given permission, those Tesla vehicles that have given permission to send to Tesla servers the driving of the people around them as well as the car itself. So, my jokes are funny but true. So, the AI for self-driving is using the information from a bunch of bad drivers. So then you begin to understand what you're getting with the AI on self-driving on Teslas. I mean, how badly do the people around you drive? How badly do you drive? All that's going into the AI to make what? An AI that's terrible at driving? Everybody has to cut off everybody else because that's what it's seeing. So, that is the beginning of understanding where the data come from. Is it good data? I had a professor, a research professor who I worked with in graduate school, and he said, "Garbage in, garbage out." And that can happen. So in the future, in future live stream segments and podcasts, I'll be sharing more about what authors need to know about AI. This is not about AI. This is about what authors need to know about AI. And eventually including reviews of various artificial intelligence apps. But next time I'll cover what's known as AI slop and how that affects authors. So over here, you'll find my interview by Margaret Zyk Coaching, which is I highly recommend, so you know that what you're in for on my channel. And if you are an entrepreneur turned and if you're an author turned entrepreneur, let's get you on the show. Sign up for my free questionnaire so you can get that. The link is in the show notes, and I'll place it, and it's been placed in the live review at the same time here. So yes, sign up for that. The next Your Author Platform podcast episode will include another presentation on an essential topic for authors, and with the occasional interview. I already set up the next one, and for authors looking to connect with their fans and build a thriving community. That's the end of another great episode of Your Author Platform podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I plan to release the next episode very soon, and I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until then, connect with fans and build your community. Thanks, everybody. Bye.